6 months? Yeah. No, 3 I think. Alright, bye. 6 nations, 6 nations, 6 nations. Not the ideal best time to be starting a cut, or a mini cut. Just watch my previous vlogs and I talk about it. I do talk sometimes about whether or not there's an optimal time to cut. I don't think when there's a 6 nations is on is the ideal time, because obviously you've probably got the boys coming up to stay with you. I've got the boys coming up and staying with me. You'll probably be going out with them quite a lot. But obviously we're going to have to try and damage limitations somehow, because I had a email from Domino's saying that there's 50% off, and there's no way that I'm turning that down. My client co-owns a brewery, and he gave me these 3 IPAs to try, so I'm going to drink maybe 1 or 2 of them as well. So today's vlog is going to be damage limitation and how you can limit it by doing these simple things when the 6 nations are on or when you have any events coming up. I'm trying to look for those John Tuna things, but I can't seem to find them. So the reason why is because they've got protein in them, obviously, and they're not very calorific. I just assumed that this was going to be low calories, 410 calories. I wasn't expecting it to be that much. So just wanted to talk about alcohol. Now, alcohol in itself, I'm obviously going to be tracking a bit in today. It's 7 calories per gram, so it's a macronutrient in itself. So a lot of people will say if you are going to be adding alcohol into your diet on a particular day, because let's face it, we're all human, it's going to happen from time to time, and if we are dieting, we're going to have to factor it in some way or another. They'll say, oh, either take it from carbs or fats. In my personal experience, it doesn't really matter. Just focus on the calories. So if there's 200 calories in the beer that you're eating, just take 200 calories away from your calorie target, and don't worry too much about carbs and fats on that particular day, because in hindsight, it doesn't really matter. So just take it from the actual calories itself. Don't worry too much as to whether or not you're taking the alcohol from the carbohydrate or the fat allotment. So the England and France game is starting behind me, and one other tip that I want to show you is to input the pizza or whatever food that you're planning on having throughout the 6 nations or any other time, is to input the food in first. So you can't see it here because it's not going to focus, but I've inputted the large bacon double cheese classic into my MyFitnessPal because it had it on there. What I've done today works my foods around that. The protein and the couscous, the John West thing that I had beforehand, track that in around it. Another thing, protein post-workout, and then everything else is going to be evolved around that. So 1,272 calories approximately, apparently, in that pizza. It's probably not that much, but one thing's for sure is that there's not 61.8, again, you're not going to see that, grams of protein in the pizza. Not hoping out. It's cheese and bacon. I'm very, very sure that there's not going to be that much protein in it. So if you are tracking in foods and it's got it on their menu, just be aware of that, and it gives you more sort of a reason to prioritize protein around certain foods. So yeah, that's the tip. Pre-plan your stuff in, then work around it. Something else? Pear. Fibre keeps you fuller for longer. Eat a food that you find fills you up, which isn't too calorific, around 80 calories in this. So one thing that I didn't touch upon was cardio. Now, for the average sort of male, my maintenance calories are pretty damn high because of NEAT and TDE, but we're not going to go into that right now. Which means when I cut, I can get away with eating a lot more than the average Joe. So in order to be able to, so let's say for example you're on pretty low calories, so maybe 2,000, you can't quite fit a pizza in to that. What I'd recommend that you do is burn around 600 calories if you wanted to, purely based on cardio. Because you're going to give yourself a lot more calories that way, and don't be afraid to do a bit of cardio in order to eat that little bit more, once a week if you really are craving something, because there's no real harm in doing it, but don't let it become a habit, because I don't think that's a good way to go about things. We shouldn't really think of food or exercise to sort of undo bits of food. So every now and again it's okay, but don't get into the habit of it. There it is. Come on. Ooh. Hello, Domino's Pizza. Whoa, sorry, Gracie. I shouldn't have had. Hello, Domino's Pizza. You okay? Sorry. Oh, flipping hell. So sorry.